Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, born the 9th of January 1955, is an Indian diplomat and politician, serving as the Minister of External Affairs of the Government of India since the 30th of May 2019. Union Minister S. Jaishankar comes from an illustrious family. His father was an IAS officer. One of his two brothers retired as an IAS officer, the other is a historian. Dr. S. Jaishankar is a Member of Parliament of India in the Rajya Sabha since the 5th of July 2019. He previously served as the Foreign Secretary from January 2015 to January 2018. He became the second ever diplomat to be appointed as India's External Affairs Minister, after Natwar Singh. He is the most popular minister on the internet. S. Jaishankar is very vocal when it comes to defending India's foreign policy. Most of his sharp responses to those who try to corner India on its foreign policy go viral. Jaishankar was married to his first wife Shobha till she succumbed to cancer. The two had met while studying at JNU. Later, he married Kyoko, who is of Japanese origin. S. Jaishankar is a graduate in chemistry from St. Stephen's College, Delhi. He has an MA in Political Science and an MPhil, and PhD in International Relations from Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, where he specialized in nuclear diplomacy.
The normal metric of measuring progress has actually been the rate of growth. Okay. It's not a wrong metric, but it's not a full metric. Mr. George Soros is an old, rich opinionated person sitting in New York who still thinks that his views should determine how the entire world works. Such people actually invest resources in shaping narratives. People like Mr. Soros think an election is good if the person they want to see wins, and if the election throws up a different outcome, then they will say it is a flawed democracy, and the beauty is that all this is done under the pretense of advocacy of open society. Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. A 2018 study estimated that the resources drained from India by the UK alone were as much as $45 trillion by current value. India's foreign policy carries three major burdens from its past. One is the 1947 partition, which reduced the nation both demographically and politically. An unintended consequence was to give China more strategic space in Asia. Another is the delayed economic reforms that were undertaken a decade and a half after those of China. The third is the prolonged exercise of the nuclear option. Terror and talks can't go hand in hand. We have been very clear that we will not normalize and rationalize terrorism. We want good neighborly relations with everybody. But good neighborly relations do not mean excusing, looking away, or rationalizing terrorism. That we are very clear. It wasn't possible to stop communication between militants without an impact on all of Kashmir. How do I cut off communication between the terrorists and their masters on the one hand, but keep the internet open for other people? I would be delighted to know. I don't think that the fundamental issue between India and Pakistan is Kashmir, okay? Terrorism is not something that is being conducted in dark corners of Pakistan. It's done in broad daylight. Globalization is under stress due to new and emerging geopolitical and geo-economic fault lines. If you trade with someone and they're your biggest trading partner, it is impossible you don't have trade issues. Today linkages being made between China and India and what's happening in Ukraine. Come on guys, China and India happened way before Ukraine. I do not see this as a clever argument. In fact, the ability of India, Japan and the US to work together in a trilateral framework has been one of the novel elements of the changing Asian political landscape. Asia is being shaped largely by the outlook of the US, the power of China, the weight of Russia, the collectivism of ASEAN, the volatility of the Middle East and the rise of India. There is an issue of what does the US expect abroad and what does the US give at home. I think there's a reconciliation there that needs to be done. I mean, the United States has had an 18-year military commitment in Afghanistan, and frankly, I can't think of any country other than the United States which is even capable of such a commitment. We can determine our strategic part or strategic options, but the strategic framework is something which will evolve from the interaction of world powers with each other. The India way, especially now, would be more of a shaper or decider rather than just be an abstainer. In political, strategic as well as economic and commercial areas, Singapore has become a fulcrum for India's policies east of India. Beyond the traditional areas of cooperation, we have entered the digital age with its own opportunities. The area of fintech needs to be explored. It was reassuring for many nations to see how staunchly India stood by them during the corona pandemic. Just because I don't agree with you, does not make me sitting on fence. It means I am sitting on my ground. We would not accept any country telling us who to buy weapons from and who not to buy from. When oil prices go up, I think it's natural for countries to go out in the market and look for what are good deals for their people. In 1992, India launched the India-Asian Partnership, and by 2005 we were members of the East Asia Summit. Because you are a diplomat, doesn't mean you are untruthful. I could use much harsher words than epicenter, so believe me, considering what has been happening to us, I think epicenter is a very diplomatic word. After all, Atmanirbhar Bharat does coexist with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is a family.
Please subscribe and help growing.